Welcome to 100 Yards Football. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. And today, my video is on an NFL legend. His name is Lawrence Taylor, formerly of the North Carolina Tar Heels and the New York Giants. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. Man, this guy was a very special football player. And I think really when you look at overall his career, yes, he had some problems, but it was nobody better that done it than Lawrence Taylor. I'm sorry. When you look at the linebacker position in the National Football League, outside the quarterback, it's probably the most glamorous position. And you think about all the great players that's played the linebacker position, from Dick Butkus to Ray Nitschke to Bobby Bell to Robert Bazile, Wilbur Marshall, Ray Lewis, Patrick Willis, Brian Urlacher, Mike Singletary, Jack Lambert. And all these players are great. There's no question about it. But the guy that changed the linebacker position was this gentleman right here that's on the screen, Lawrence Taylor. See, there's something about being great and being a game changer and leaving your name imprint on the sport. It's only a few can do. Muhammad Ali / Cassius Clay did it in boxing. Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did it in basketball. Lou Brock and Bob Gibson did it in baseball, along with Barry Bonds, Willie Mays, Roberto Clemente, and Magic Johnson and Kobe Bryant with the Lakers. When Lawrence Taylor came into the National Football League, didn't nobody see this coming. Even though he was the second-round pick in the 1981 NFL draft, we just didn't see it. The first real understanding, and when Lawrence Taylor's name came to mind was back in my life, was North Carolina played in the 1977 Liberty Bowl against Nebraska. And during a visit, North Carolina was coached by Bill Dooley. There was a lot of talk about famous Amos Lawrence, the running back. He was a freshman. Well, I remember Bill Dooley saying something during his press conference during the Liberty Bowl luncheon. He said, I got a football player that if he's able to really improve year in and year out his 4 years here, he could be one of the greatest defensive players that ever came out of the University of North Carolina. And then on the stage in the National Football League, could you mention Lawrence Taylor? And that name didn't resonate to me till basically when I saw Lawrence Taylor play in the 1979 Gator Bowl against Michigan. And he broke Michigan quarterback's John Wangler's leg. But that evening, man, he was the best player on the field. Then coming back into his senior season in September against Texas Tech. It was a regional game, but I was a junior at the University of Arkansas. And that game was on, and Lawrence Taylor made one of the greatest plays I ever seen, a goal line stand. We actually tackled the guy and recovered the fumble. And I knew then there was something special about this player. And then when he got drafted by the Giants, his rookie season, he came and put it down and was the best player as he won the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. But what stuck out to me about Lawrence Taylor, his football instincts was off the charts. And he was always around the play. But learning about Lawrence Taylor from Lightfoot, Virginia, one thing about Lawrence Taylor, he played the game hard. A lot of people don't understand it because of his past problems he had. But when you look at his skill set, and I understand why he's a two-time Super Bowl champion, an NFL MVP in 1986. There's only one other defensive player that's won that award, and that's Alan Page in 1971. Three-time Defensive Player of the Year. 10 straight Pro Bowls. But the thing about Lawrence Taylor, as I get to his skill set, he changed the game. He changed the game as a linebacker playing in the league and being a playmaker. From a pass rush standpoint, from the ability to make tackles, he changed defensive game plans. He changed defensive pass and rushing schemes. And he changed the offensive line blocking schemes, how you block them. His rookie season, offenses were blocking them with a fullback. But later on that year, they was blocking them with guards and tackles. And the thing about Lawrence Taylor, he wasn't a workout warrior. It was all natural. And man, greatness came to New York. And man, Lawrence Taylor was at another level. When you talk about his skill set, man, the skill set is something amazing. He was wild, A+. He was reckless, A+. The energy level he brought was A+. Hell in my heart, that's what he said, was A+. The mental edge of Lawrence Taylor, A+. The pride, A+. The fundamentals, A+. The tackling, A+. This is what they don't give Lawrence Taylor his credit. Giving it 110% A+. Size, A+. Speed, A+. Craziness as a football player, A+. And the most important thing to play this game of football is that you got to love contact. And he loved it at a high level, A+. And think about him coming out of North Carolina. Everybody talked about all the great defensive players over the past: Greg Ellis, Julius Peppers, William Fuller, Dre Bly, Steve Schrader, Buddy Curry, Brian Simmons. Lawrence Taylor is at the top of the game out of North Carolina. And the thing that when you look at his career stats, 9 interceptions, 11 fumble recoveries, 142 sacks, the one thing was the competition. The San Francisco offensive line led by Randy Cross. The Dallas Cowboys offensive line led by Hubert Scott. The Chicago Bears offensive lines led by Jimbo Covert. And then the Washington Redskins. He put on the show. Russ Graham, Mark May, George Stark. But the guy he used to handle that I just could not believe was Joe Jacoby, who was 6'7", 305 pounds. And he couldn't block this guy, this monster, and Lawrence Taylor. And that used to amaze me. Then, when you look at it, this is what adversity means and greatness. He had the problem in 85. I'm not going to disclose that because I got so much respect for him. Everybody threw him under the bus that year, coming into the 86 season. But he turned and had one of the best defensive performances maybe ever in NFL history. 20 sacks that season. But look at some of the games he performed at a high level. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You could go back to the New Orleans game. He had 7 tackles. The St. Louis Cardinals game, 8 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 fumble recovery. Man, he was all over the place. But the key of that 86 season, he carried the New York Giants to a Super Bowl championship. And just, you look at all the great defenses that he played with in New York. The players, Leonard Marshall, Carl Banks, Brian Hunt, Brad Van Pelt, Brian Kelly. The one thing that Lawrence Taylor said, I could not do it without these great players. Harry Carson. He was a team player first. And think about the 81 draft when he came into the league. Even though he got drafted number 2, everybody's saying he was maybe not a better prospect than E.J. Jr. Definitely not a better prospect than Hugh Green. Better prospect than Mel Owens. And probably one of the better prospects than Ricky Jackson. But Lawrence Taylor, out of Lightfoot, Virginia, he did it at a high level, man. And to me, he's the greatest linebacker that ever played the game. Then started playing football till his sophomore year in high school, and he was only 5'11", 180, and he grew in high school. But another key point I want to bring about Lawrence Taylor, football wasn't his first love. Baseball. And you know what? He could have been a major league catcher. I know this guy's had some problems over the years. But man, I have never seen a better linebacker to play this game and probably never will in my 61 years of life. I know things haven't gone well for him after his career. And I know people are going to still look at him and punish him. But think about this. The 86 season, New Orleans game, 7 tackles. The St. Louis game, 8 tackles, 2 sacks. Against Philly, 4 tackles, 7 solos, 2 assists, 20 sacks that year, NFL Defensive Player of the Year, and a Super Bowl champion. And he was twice a Super Bowl champion. He changed the game, man. He changed the game of a pass rushing specialist coming off the edge. And it's no one that's done it better than Lawrence Taylor. And what's so amazing, he didn't even really work out. He was a guy that was not on weight. But he was a guy that's something special that the Taylor family, his parents had instilled in him. The Miller son of 3 sons. And a guy that had a big heart. But he was a tremendous football player and the greatest linebacker that I ever seen play this game. I'm sorry. We can talk about Ray Lewis. We can talk about Mike Singletary. We can talk about Dick Butkus. We can talk about Ray Niskey, Brian Urlacher, Jack Lamb, Derek Thomas. There hasn't been no one since Lawrence Taylor. And think about this, another key fact. He did it on the biggest stage. One of the largest media centers in the world in New York City. Like George Benson, he did it on Broadway when the neon lights were giving him no love. When the neon lights were not giving him no love. This young man out of Lightfoot, Virginia, by Williamsburg, Lawrence Taylor did it when no one else done. So I know everybody want to give Ray Lewis a vote. Everybody want to give Derek Thomas a vote. Everybody, bless his soul, everybody want to give Mike Singletary, Ray Niskey, Bobby Bell, Willie Lanier. But that man on the screen right there, he did it better than nobody else. Lawrence Taylor is special, man. And he's a game changer. He changed the way football was played defensively. And I hope people please remember that. I would have liked to see what type of player he would have been in this time. And somebody would have got into him and said, Lawrence, just you work out a little bit. Because the guy instincts were off the charts. And one more time, look at all the great players he played at that linebacker position that was in New York. Gary Reason, Carl Banks, Harry Carson. He made them better. And I know people out there watching this video coming into the 81 draft, a lot of people saying Hugh Green was a better player. A lot of people saying Ricky Jackson was a better player. A lot of people saying Mel Owens was a better player out of Michigan. A lot of people saying E.J. Jr. out of Alabama was a better player. But I'm sorry. Lawrence Taylor showed you on the largest media center in the world, New York City. Neon lights. 142 career sacks. Unbelievable. 10-time Pro Bowler. 2-time Super Bowl champion. The most MVP of the league in 86 as a defensive player. Only one other defensive player has won that. Alan Page in 1971. And NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. Let me put him in the category again of greatness. Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay boxing. Michael Jordan, Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar / basketball. Barry Bonds, Lou Brock, Roberto Clemente, Willie Mays in baseball. Magic Johnson in basketball. There's been some fantastic athletes that came through the National Football League. Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson, Erie Dickerson. But I'm sorry, no one did it better than Lawrence Taylor. To me, he's the greatest football player that's came into this league. And he did it one more time. I hate to keep saying this. Neon lights on Broadway like the great musician George Benson states. One more time, the skill set. Wow, A+. Reckless, A+. Energy, A+. Hell in my heart, A+. Mental edge, A+. Pride, A+. Fundamentals, A+. Tackling, A+. Giving it 110%, A+. Size, A+. Speed, A+. Craziness, A+. And family. Contact, love it, A+. My final words about Lawrence Taylor. I love this game of football. I'm broadcasting here in the Metro Atlanta in Douglasville, Georgia. We got a big college football game coming up, Georgia taking on Alabama. But when you look at that game, and you look at big games that's going to happen throughout this football season, you think about the Super Bowl, we as a football nation, we need to think about Lawrence Taylor, man. One of the greatest football players that's ever played this game. And he made an impact from the defensive side of the ball. Well, he didn't even touch the ball many times. Like Tom Brady touches it every play because he plays the quarterback position. Emmitt Smith touches it every play because he played running back. Jerry Rice touches it every play because he's a receiver. This guy was great playing the defensive side of the ball. As the final words about Lawrence Taylor, the great musician out of Memphis, Tennessee, my hometown, the 901, Asake said, Shaft, you're a bad man and you're a bad private eye. Lawrence Taylor was a bad man and a private eye in the city of New York when he played for the New York Giants from 1981 and 1993. Pro Football Hall of Famer. I'm proud of Lawrence Taylor because he transcended this game from a defensive standpoint. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. I've been your host, Vincent Turner. And much thanks to my producer, Mr. Logan Landers. I hope you enjoyed the video.